This week after a scathing report on the death of 4 Americans in Libya on September 11th of this year. Now, the report cites, quote, systemic failures, even at senior levels. And while the report has already prompted 4 officials to resign, lawmakers still have yet to hear from the leader of that department, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. She had to postpone her testimony this latest time after suffering a recent head injury. Now, Florida Republican Congresswoman Ileana Lehtinen is chairwoman of the House Foreign Relations Committee, and she joins us now with more. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation. It's an important topic.
It is. Now, systemic failures in leadership and management deficiencies at senior levels. In summary, that is a quote, what the report says they find on Benghazi. So who is the senior level, and will they be held accountable?
Well, that's why Secretary of State Hillary Clinton must appear before our Foreign Affairs Committee, and she has promised to do so perhaps before January 15th, and we're going to hold her to her word. We know that she will be appearing there. And it's just the first step to hold the State Department and the Obama administration accountable. After all, this was a terrorist attack that resulted in the murder of 4 brave Americans. We talk a lot about Ambassador Stevens, but let's not forget the other 3, Smith, Woods, and Doherty. Fine Americans, each one. And we have to ask ourselves, why did the State Department not heed the intelligence reports, where if you read them, they are so clear in telegraphing in graphic terms that this consulate in Benghazi is surrounded by extremist elements and that they would be overrun in a minute. Also, why did the State Department not heed repeated requests by our consulate in Benghazi for additional security? After all, this is an important date in American history, 9/11. How could we not properly protect the embassy, our consulate there? Now, the State Department is going to say, we need more money. Well, I believe that all the evidence indicates that it's not a matter of money, it's a matter of misplaced priorities. On the day before 9/11, Secretary Clinton was promoting a new program called culinary diplomacy. That means that we can win friends through food. Now, you know, there are a lot of misplaced priorities in the State Department. Global climate change. There's another program where they spend millions of dollars, but that doesn't protect a single American life abroad. So this ARB report was scathing, as you pointed out in your introduction, and the State Department must be held accountable and answer to the American people as to why the requests for more security were not heeded.
And you've covered a lot in that one answer, but I wanted to pick apart a couple elements there. You know, the report questions the deployment, the communications, the security, as you mentioned, and the continuity that left those 4 Americans in a beyond, you know, hostile environment, beyond rescue, ultimately and eventually dead. Answer that question that you're asking there yourself. Why do you think that those repeated requests for additional security were not heeded?
I believe that the answer to that question is a political one. The administration wanted to sell the American people on a narrative that was false. That is, this was a victory for us in Libya. Everything is normal. There's no problem. We've got Al-Qaeda on the run. Finally, President Obama himself had to take that line out of his stump speech because we didn't have Al-Qaeda on the run. They're clearly there all over the place, and they're operatives and they're proxies. So the narrative was Libya is completely normal. If they spring the money for more security, or if they send more assets over there, then it's an admission that maybe Libya is not a successful political story as we want to tell the American people. And that's why Susan Rice was rolled out there to 5 network shows to say this was a video and it was a spontaneous protest. As Biden said, malarkey. He used that in another context, but this was not right to not tell the American people the truth. The consulate asked repeatedly for more security, and they were surrounded by fundamentalist extremist elements. But if the State Department gave them more security, it would be, in their twisted logic, an admission of responsibility and a failed mission. Nonsense. They would have protected our guys and gals.
Congresswoman Ross Lehtinen, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it, and hopefully some steps can be taken to keep this from happening again. Thank you.
It will. Thank you.
And the Congresswoman, by the way, was instrumental in helping
Yes.
former Marine John Hammer get released from that Mexican prison. She and Bill Nelson were at the forefront of that.